Never has history been witness to such selfishness. Witness to a generation so out of tune with their role as conservators for future generations. We will look back at this time and what we did to our children and hang our heads in shame. Unless we fight today and right up till election day to put an end to this government coercion, we will enter into a dark period in our country's history from which there may not be a return. This isn't just a fight against vaccine passports and mandatory vaccines. This is also a fight to reclaim childhood. To let children grow and develop as they were meant to. In a world where smiles, hugs, kisses, and play are not seen as acts of endangerment, but of love and learning. Physical symbols of a world that is not built on fear of one another, but instead on compassion. This is what I'm fighting for. Not for me. My time on this earth is limited. But for my daughter and my grandson. For future generations of Canadians that may never know a world that wasn't masked, that didn't require government approval to access the places and spaces around us, that may never know the comfort of a stranger's smile or how to smile back. This is what this election means. This is why we need to vote PPC now. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Chelsea Taylor from Hamilton Mountain.
Oh, you got me emotional before I get up here. Hey, my name is Chelsea Taylor and I'm the PPC candidate for Hamilton Mountain.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hello. I am running in this election first and foremost because I'm a mother.
That's okay. Take a minute.
And like any parent, my children's future is my number one concern. Canadians used to be able to rely on a fair government that valued our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But I worry that the freedoms of Canadians are being eroded by political elites. I worry that if we keep electing the established parties, that our freedoms will be extinguished. Not in our children's lifetime, but in our lifetime. These traditional parties think they know better than you. They think they are better than you. They want to censor your speech on the internet. A platform of one of the traditional parties promises to protect you from harmful online content. But what they really mean is anything that's harmful to them. The traditional parties don't want you to say anything critical of them, and that's what they mean by harmful. Maxime Bernier and the People's Party of Canada is the only party with the courage to boldly oppose the drive to censorship and declare the defense of principles that make Canada the great country it is. Yes. The People's Party endorses a rational approach to COVID-19 that protects the most vulnerable populations while maintaining individual freedoms. We reject the fear-mongering that is used to justify lockdowns and mask mandates of the young and healthy who are at minimal risk for this virus. I refuse to sit back and allow discriminatory and divisive rhetoric to become normalized for me, my children, and the future of all Canadians. I refuse to allow the traditional parties to destroy our country's finances. Their platforms in this election are a race to spend more and more of your money and tax you more and more as well. The People's Party is offering the only voice for Canadians who value freedom and responsibility over spending and control. The free people of the world are rising up in defense of our hard-won liberties, and this election is an important part of that fight. My goal is to make Canadians aware that there is an option beyond the political elites and their capitalism and government control.
Wow!
To those frustrated with the current system that fails to provide long-lasting positive change, I encourage you to give People's Party a look. It's time to choose something different. Before I hand off the mic to our next guest, I want to share my personal story with you because it's a huge reason why I'm standing here today. In 2009, I received my third dose of the HPV vaccine, Gardasil, at school. It was a new vaccine and people had legitimate questions about its safety. Immediately after the dose, I felt sick and had to go home. And in the days following, I could no longer walk without excruciating pain in my legs and hips and shaking. Thankfully, after years of physio and massage therapy, I have no long-standing issues. Many people have legitimate questions and concerns about the COVID vaccine, and they are being threatened to their job and treated like a second-class citizen for having these concerns. I am proof that there are risks that can change your life, and no matter what your stance is on the vaccine for yourself, we all need to fight these mandates and coercion, because where there's risk, there must be choice. So I want to introduce our next guest, Zach Rinaldo.
How you doing, guys? For those who don't know me, my name is Zach Rinaldo. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario. I play in the NHL. I will be entering my 11th season in the NHL. Yeah. Lots of hard work. I'm here solely today to tell you why I'm voting for PPC. I'm gonna pull my phone here, put some notes down. I'm solely voting for PPC because of the mandates, and they are going to get rid of these mandates. I'm not anti-vax, I'm not anti-mask, I'm just pro-choice, and PPC is pro-choice as well. Not just for me, I'm not political. I have zero political background ever. I play hockey, I take care of my kids, I just work hard, put my head down, I go to work. That's what I do. And I'm doing this solely for my kids alone. I have a 4-year-old Adonis and 2-year-old Rosalie, and I want them to one day look back at this and see that their father was on the right side of history and not the wrong side of history. So they can have a choice one day. If they want to make their own decision, that's up to them. If they want to make the right decision, if they think that is right, then they have that choice. Without the PPC in place, they won't have a choice to make the right decision, and that scares me. So today, like I said, I'm here to let you know that Zach Rinaldo, 11th year in the NHL, going into my 11th year, voting for PPC, and those are the reasons, because it's what's right and what is the best choice. So PPC has my vote.
Thank you, Zach. We really appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
So next up, we have Bill Pancherson. He's our Glanbrook Flamborough representative.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you. Thank you for taking the time to come out. I'm going to take a bit of a different tack and talk about our present-day situation with the campaign, specifically a pressure that will probably be put on all of you through this voting period, not to split the vote on the political right. And what that basically is about, it was a situation that was concocted by the CPC, Conservative Party of Canada. Taking you back a bit into history, our leader, Max Bernier, was a former cabinet minister in the CPC under Stephen Harper. And upon Stephen Harper's departure from the CPC in 2015, Max entered into a leadership race with the CPC and lost a very close, tight race to Andrew Shearer. Now, my understanding is Max had some concerns about the direction the CPC was taking. And basically, they were taking the direction we see today. They were moving their party to the political left. There were more liberal policies, more policies in place that were going to spend, ultimately take away our freedoms, and endorse a culture of control. And for a good period of time, he tried to meet with the party, tried to meet with Andrew Scheer, tried to get the party back into its roots of being a political right party with conservative values. Well, after about 6 months to a year, he realized this wasn't going to happen. It was falling on deaf ears. And he had a departure and made the decision in 2018 to create this wonderful party we have today called the PPC. And so here we are. Now, with many departures of this nature, and if you want to compare it to something, maybe some of you have done this, or all of you probably know somebody who's done this. It would be the same as an employee who essentially decides, you know what, I'm going to resign from my current position and start my own business, my own company, my own venture. It's something you see people do, and many people have done it very successfully. Sometimes the parting from your employer is amicable. Sometimes it's a little more embittered. Well, the CPC, with Max's departure, felt very embittered. So one of the first things they did, they used some manipulative messaging to create this term. And the term actually, it wasn't created, well, it was created for the purpose we're using it today, but they said any vote for the PPC is a split vote. And the logic behind it is, if you vote for the PPC, you're splitting the political right vote and basically allowing the Liberals, specifically Justin, to go right into power with majority government. Quite frankly, it's all a crock. The problem with the PPC's messaging is, first of all, they act like they're entitled to all your votes, which is crap. They're not. They've lost that privilege, quite frankly. They've lost it. They are a lost party. Okay? The second side of this is, it is an unfair burden to place on all of us PPC supporters to say, if you vote PPC, it's your fault so-and-so gets into power. That is crap. If you vote to your values, which is what everybody should do, you absolutely must vote to your values. If you try to vote strategically, if you vote about worrying about splitting a vote on the right, you will end up with a leader. 3 months after the election, you'll be sitting on your couch and the snow will be flying. You'll be surrounded by Christmas decorations. It'll be January, December, February. You'll sit on your couch and you'll have an epiphany and realize, why didn't I vote to my values and vote with the PPC? It'll happen to you. And full disclosure, I was in that place, very personally. I was very worried at one time about splitting the vote. So I've been there, I've had all the thoughts, I've bantered it back and forth. And then I heard an interview with Max, and it was a very simple message. You must vote with your values. So I went onto the PPC website and read the platform. And lo and behold, it pretty much matched my values to a T. 100%. And even present day, I was talking with some folks behind us before we got started today, and it was amazing. And I don't know how many conversations all of you have had, but never once have I had somebody with an opposing view to what the PPC is doing actually criticize our platform. It's always, oh, you're this, there's name calling, we're tagged as racist, but never once have I had a person intelligently and calmly come and sit down and say, Bill, let's talk about the PPC platform. I don't think this, or this will work. I've never heard it. I've never had it. I'm waiting for it, but nobody does it, which tells me that we are 100% on the right track here. We have to keep fighting. Thank you. So whenever you're out and about and you hear somebody talking about splitting the vote, it's not a thing. It's a made-up message, basically to manipulate you into voting for a mainstream party that's getting all kinds of support from the mainstream media. And it's not a balanced playing field, and we are fighting hard to balance it. So stay with your values, stay the course. A win for the PPC is winning some seats, building our popular support, and we will trudge on and fight on. Thank you, everybody. And our next speaker will be Dean Woods from West Hamilton, Ancaster, and Dundas.
How's everybody doing today? If you're having problem hearing, feel free to come out front of the speakers. I just want everyone to take a big deep breath. Do you smell the freedom? Let's hope on the 21st of September we can still smell that freedom. Anyway, I am running for Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas. A little bit about me. I'm a son, I'm a brother, and I'm a father. And I'm also a stranger. And I work in IT management and healthcare. I'm currently on an unpaid leave of absence to run in this campaign. Many have said in the middle of a national crisis and a pandemic was the wrong time for Justin Trudeau to call an election. I believe there's no better time than right now to replace the leadership of this nation with a PPC government. We have witnessed over 200,000 businesses close shop. Their livelihoods are gone. People are losing their homes and their dreams have become their worst nightmare. Trudeau is worse than a 16-year-old child with his first credit card. No worries, somebody else will pay the bills. It just happens we're the ones paying the bills. His borrow, spend, tax economics has failed Canadians. For example, he has given $400 million to education around the world with another $180 to Global Partnership for Education for Europe, while our own education system here crumbles to the ground and the costs skyrocket. You deserve better. Canada deserves better. Additionally, he gave $241 million to the family planning around the world, including $20 million donation to the Bill and Hillary Clinton Foundation, while telling our veterans and our seniors they're asking for too much. You deserve better. Canada deserves better. Thank you. Additionally, $2.65 billion were pledged for climate change at the Commonwealth Leaders Summit. And to pay for this, well, you know what carbon tax is all about. You're paying for this. The PPC will be canceling the carbon tax for individuals. He donated $650 million for healthcare in foreign countries while our own citizens don't even have a family doctor. You deserve better. Canada deserves better. And I can go on and on and on for hours talking about the wasteful spending in the Liberal government. Another $840 million for humanitarian assistance while we have Canadians without jobs, without a home, without food, and sleeping in tents. Half our Indigenous population do not even have clean drinking water. You deserve better. Canada deserves better. We have witnessed a dramatic increase in suicides, substance abuse, domestic abuse in our homes, and destroyed lives. We are in dire need of a government that promotes hope instead of fear, unity instead of division, and prosperity instead of hardship. The PPC are the only party that are going to end lockdowns opposed on us by the current establishment. We will not mandate vaccines or implement a vaccine passport. This campaign isn't just about a vaccine. This is about your life and your freedoms and your rights. Our platform is intended to get Canadians' lives back to normal in a responsible manner, where each person is responsible for their own safety and the safety of those around them that they love. It's time to open our businesses, get back to work, and restart this economy. The PPC plans to balance the budget, lower your taxes, stop foreign aid, and invest your dollars into our own backyard. The PPC is transparent, fair, and fiscally responsible. We will be your voice. We will be loud. We will be heard, and we will make a difference because Canada deserves better. Thank you. I'm Dean Woods, Hamilton East, Ancaster, Dundas. I'd like to introduce Irina.
Behind your back, watch your back.
Can I get a copy of that?
Good morning,
Free
people.
Speech Media.
Are we awake?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay, so I'm coming from Yugoslavia. Is there any of us present here today? Kako ste? Hoćemo ih pustiti? No, so we won't let them do this to us again. We all left our countries like 20, 30 years ago, came to a new home, and we settled finally. We finally settled, and here they go again. The same globalists are after us again. Shame on them, yes. So voting for the PPC meetings, getting rid of them, sending them to the home where they belong to, okay? They need to be locked down. I'm just going to say a few lines about healthcare, and I'm going to pass this mic to Andrew and Peter. They're going to speak more about the communism, socialism, and their experience in their countries. So there is a mystery here about the healthcare. Max is proposing new version of the healthcare, and some of them are against it. There's nothing wrong with the private care, because anyway, here doctors are all in franchise. They're all already private business, owning their private businesses. Let's say if you go to private care, okay, you can be taken care of in the same day. You can get your teeth done, you can get your eyeglasses in a day. You pay a certain amount of the money, but that's okay. Look here, if you go to the emergency, what's the waiting line? 4 to 6, 8 hours. Back home in a poor country as Serbia, it's 10, 15 minutes max. So that's what we're aiming for. We need to improve this healthcare system, because this healthcare system, like Justin Trudeau and everything else, sucks. Okay. Andrew, I'm gonna need you here, Andrew. Hello. This is my friend Andrew. He's coming from Ukraine, and the reason why I picked up Ukrainian guy because I studied arts back then, back in time in Ukraine. Okay, here you go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andriy, and I'm a typical immigrant from Eastern Europe. English is my second language, so I will mostly read. I apologize, but it's from the heart. Please believe me. I was born in Ukraine in late 1960s. So I was growing up under a mild communist dictatorship. It wasn't like in 1932 when Comrade Stalin starved millions of my ancestors to death in his experimentation with collective farming system. So we were supposed to forget about that. That was in the past. We were supposed to just be obedient, compliant. You know the word, compliant. You have to comply. You have to be submissive and loyal to the communist ideology. No free speech was allowed, no protest. We had tightly controlled media pumping out the same mind-numbing propaganda day in and day out. 2 TV channels, 3 newspapers, the same thing. We were taught fabricated version of history, and our education system brainwashed students with a single set of ideas and a twisted fake vision of the world. We didn't know what the free world was like. We were not allowed to know. We were only told lies about it. If you refused to conform, if you agreed, if you conformed, you were okay. They wouldn't touch you. But if you refused, if you saw there was something wrong going on, you protested, expressed your opinion, then you could be punished very harshly by the authorities. You could be bullied by the aggressive, self-righteous mob who would call you names. You'd be labeled as a traitor, as a foreign agent, perhaps mentally ill, an idiot. Because who would question the glorious leadership of the single party that we had and their wisdom, right? Yep. You could have been imprisoned or locked in psychiatric ward or worse. And some people disappeared by the security service that was the guard dog of the regime. You may ask, how is it relevant? Why am I telling you all this? It's a different place, different time. This could never happen in Canada, right? Never happen in Canada, but look around you. In fact, we are in the soft dictatorship already. Yes. Just ask yourselves, can you get fired for expressing your political beliefs, for speaking and thinking freely? Yes, you can. People are afraid to speak. People are afraid to think. People are afraid to support the party that they, in values of which they believe. We cannot allow this slide towards tyranny to continue anymore. COVID pandemic has been used to undo every single liberty that we used to enjoy. Our constitutional rights and freedoms that were already eroded before have now been completely canceled by the dictates of narrow-minded bureaucrats and power-hungry politicians. Our former Prime Minister, he's a citizen now, and I hope he remains such. He is the most manipulative, divisive, and corrupt demagogue this country has ever known. A fraud who openly admires Chinese communist regime and tries to model after their inhumane system. Most of the media are just propaganda outlets, just like it was in USSR. And those of us who've experienced tyrannies, who were exposed to the tyrannical regimes around the world, they recognize it. They can see it from 1,000 miles away. Our education system is politicized, infected with neo-Marxist ideology, and fails to teach but attempts to indoctrinate our children instead. Even our healthcare has become corrupted. Our doctors cannot treat anymore. They just need to abide by the orders of the healthcare bureaucrats. There's no patient-doctor privilege anymore. And the right to consent has been dismantled. Justin Trudeau, his allies and the satellite parties ignore the devastation that extreme leftist ideologies and methods already brought upon the world. They propose more draconian bills to further restrict free speech. They don't want to discuss vital issues. They already have all the designs and all the answers for our future. Just like...
I need to cut on this free speech. Maxime is here, so we'll continue after. Okay, guys?
Vote PPC. Vote Maxime Bernier.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, can we get a big round of applause for our next speaker, a true Hamiltonian, born and raised, Kevin Barber of Hamilton Center.
Look around. Look at you beautiful people. You cared enough. You showed up with your hearts and your minds awake. And for that, I thank you. And all of us in the party thank you for being part of this magnificent movement. Yes. Give yourself a hand. You deserve it. My background is in journalism and communications, music. I believe in the power of these things. I remember when I went to journalism school, in the very first year, someone came in and sat down and almost with a sad, resigned manner said, none of you are getting jobs. This is a closed shop. This is a factory to turn out dreamers. And unless you are straight up Marxist, you're not going to get a gig. And I don't think a lot of us knew even what a Marxist was, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. But my experience has proven much of this to be true. I want to remind all of us about the dangers of government censorship and specifically Bill C-36. Bill C-36 has provisions in which an unknown person can claim that they have been attacked and that the hate has been thrust upon them and can be rewarded by the government to the tune of up to $35,000, all the while remaining anonymous. Under the umbrella of we're trying to do the right thing and protect the most vulnerable, what they're doing is providing a mechanism for what we are seeing time and time again, that special interest groups and people with a definite agenda use these to advance their agenda in the most insidious kind of way. And if we're not careful, we're not even going to know it's happening until it's over. It's often been said, if you want to know who rules over you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Mr. Justin Trudeau has made it very clear that you are not to criticize him. You're not even to report on things like the Panama Papers or the Uranium One deal, or any number of things. Well, I'm going to keep it short, and I'm going to introduce the person you're here for, not me, but Mr. Max Bernier. And in doing so, I just want to go over, just briefly, his resume. And I didn't bring my glasses, so I have to apologize. Okay? He's a 60-year-old married man, growing family, no distractions. He has both Alberta and Quebec residences. He's a farmer, owns a working farm, and he's a lawyer with over 30 years in excellent standing with the Law Society of Upper Canada. He is a businessman, a consultant in banking, business, and law. He's a tax expert. He's an entrepreneur. And he has been, while in government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Small Business, Minister of Industry, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Statistics Canada, Register General of Canada, Chair of the National Defence Select Committee, Branch Director of the National Bank, Director of Corporate and International Relations, the Securities Commission, Vice President of Standard Life of Canada, Advisor handling fiscal reform for the Minister of Finance during the Harper years, Executive Vice President of the Montreal Economic Institute, opposition critic for innovation, science, economic development. He's a workaholic, often taking his work home. He's a team player with a high IQ, played football, earning awards throughout his school years, earning high marks. And as an MPP, he trained for over a year and ran 106 kilometers in a marathon, earning over $165,000 for the Quebec Food Bank in his riding of Bios, Quebec. And he had served there for 15 years. He believes in freedom, freedom of medical choice, freedom of speech, freedom to shop and work without papers, freedom of movement, and so much more. Here's the man, the legend that we are so very happy to welcome to Hamilton, Mr. Max Bernier. Put your hands together. He's been given an impromptu interview opportunity, and many people, everybody wants a bit of Max's time. Certainly, it's been my case where my phone is blowing up. I've never been so busy in my life. I can't imagine what it's like. All right, Mr. Max Bernier, let's put your hands together.
Hello everybody, how are you? Thank you very much. A nice crowd this morning. I'm very happy to be here. As you know, I'm traveling across the country, but we are not alone. There's a lot of people in Eastern Canada, Western Canada, that are ready to fight for our freedoms, like we are doing right now today. And that election, like I said before, it's more than just an election. It is a kind of a referendum on our way of life, our Western civilization values, because we know that we cannot take for granted our freedom anymore in Canada. Just today, Jason Kenney in Alberta announced that he will impose a vaccine passport also. All that happened because Trudeau and O'Toole are ready to impose also a vaccine passport. What they're saying, they're ready to spend $1 billion, by the way, that we don't have, to be sure that provinces like Ontario, Alberta, Quebec, and all across the country will impose a vaccine passport. And as you know, we believe in freedom. We believe in freedom of choice. Everybody everybody must be free to decide if they want to wear a mask, if they want to have the vaccine. We're not anti-vax, we're not anti-max. We just want to respect everybody. And now they are dividing us by vaccination status. And they are telling me in Quebec, the vaccine passport is in force. They are telling me that I cannot go to a restaurant, I cannot go to an hockey game or a baseball game. I cannot participate in the social society. But can you believe that? I'll be able to go to my church Sunday. So there's no logic there. Why? There's no virus in a church and there are viruses everywhere in a restaurant. Do you know why I'm able to go to my church in Quebec without having the vaccine? It's because the Catholic Church was very efficient at doing their lobby to the provincial government. That's not based on science. That's not based on common sense. That is based on more government control. And we know that if you have the vaccine or not, everybody is in the same boat. Everybody can spread the virus. So why doing segregation and discrimination? There's no reason for that. And actually, if the vaccine is efficient, and I believe that it's efficient, why I cannot be at a restaurant with other people that are vaccinated? I'm not a risk from them. I'm not a risk for them. So that's kind of discrimination that we are fighting against that. And Trudeau used to discriminate against us, you know, people from race and gender and now vaccination status. Yes, people, there's a new term. There's a new term. We call that what Trudeau is doing. It's racial politics. Racial politics. We don't want that here in our country. Racial politics. I'll give you an example of that. Trudeau said, I'll have a new program only for black entrepreneurs. That's discrimination. We don't want that. We will abolish a kind of a program like that. And if we want to help entrepreneurs, that will be a program for every entrepreneur in this country. That's why I said no to political correctness. I said no to racial politics. I said no also to identity politics. For me, you are a Canadian, and I'm doing politics to put Canadians first and our country first. You can count on me. You can count on our candidates all across the country. They will fight for us. And, you know, I had an interview when I started the campaign in my own riding in Beauce. The first day of the election, the mainstream media were there. And they were only there that day because after that they ignored us. But that's the mainstream. That's the mainstream media. Yes. Right. You know what we're going to do for the CBC. We need to balance the budget, so we will be able to cut. We will save $1 billion to be able to balance the budget.
Because of them, my kids were segregated yesterday.
Yeah.
We had to stand out in the hallway.
Yeah.
We had to get served in the hallway at Canada.
Yeah, we want media. we want the mainstream media to be independent. We want them to be independent. We don't want them to be dependent on the government. So what they said when I did my first press conference for this election in Beauce, I had a couple of questions, because what I'm saying in Beauce in French, I'm saying the same thing here and all across the country in English. And you know, the provincial government in Beauce, Mr. Legault, is very popular with that vaccine passport. And at the end of my press conference, the journalist asked me, Mr. Bernier, speaking like that, you may not be elected because, you know, in your riding, there is older people that took the vaccine and they may not vote for you. I said, you know, I respect everybody. We're not anti-vax, like I said, but I said, you know, I won't change. I won't say something to please people in Beauce. I won't pander to people in Beauce. I won't pander to people here in Hamilton, sorry. And what I will do, I'm saying the same thing everywhere. So in Beauce, if they don't like our position against vaccine passport, I will speak about that. And my goal is at the end of this campaign, I hope I'll be able to convince more people. But I prefer to lose with my principles than win on my knee. And that's us. That's the PPC. We are doing politics differently because we are doing politics based on our 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect and fairness. And the platform, this electoral platform, is the same one that we had at the last election in 2019, and it will be the same one at the next election until we win that battle of ideas. Because we know when tyranny becomes law, revolution becomes our duty. It is our duty to stand up, speak out for what we believe. And that common sense revolution will start the 28th of September with a lot of candidates that will be elected in Ottawa. And you will have a freedom voice over there. You will have a common sense voice that will be ready to fight for you. That will be the beginning of that revolution, that ideological revolution in our country. You can count on me. You can count on our candidates all across the country to fight for you. And I can tell you that this country is going in the wrong direction, as you know it. We have more and more socialism in this country at the provincial level and at the federal level. So now O'Toole and Trudeau are saying that, you know, it's okay. We will spend billions of dollars, money that we don't have, and it's okay if we have a deficit. It's okay if we spend more to have a deficit for the next 10 years. But you know what? That deficit, $354 billion, it's not our children and grandchildren that will pay for it. It is us right now, today. And yes, maybe in the future they will pay. It is us. By the inflation tax, we are paying for it. Trudeau and O'Toole are irresponsible. They're telling you, you know, they want to buy your votes with borrowed money, with the Bank of Canada that is printing money out of thin air, $400 billion. And when they're doing that, we have inflation. And now, since 2003, we didn't have that before. We didn't have that but we have the biggest, highest inflation rate in this country, the official one at 4.1%. You know, 20% inflation is not good, 10% inflation is not good, 4% inflation is not good, but the real inflation, when you do your grocery, it's about 5-6% inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax. Instead of taxing you and taking your own money in your own pockets and forcing you to pay taxes and giving that to Ottawa, what Trudeau and O'Toole are doing with the money that they spend and they want to spend and they want to create more deficit, what they are doing, they are telling you, you can keep your own money in your own pockets, but you won't be able to buy the same amount of goods and services with your money. Prices are going up, your standard of living is going down, your purchasing power is going down, and everybody is poorer. That's the inflation tax. That's the Trudeau and O'Toole's inflation tax. We will fight against that. Because we will take and we will do the right thing to balance the budget in 4 years, to be responsible, and we will ask the Bank of Canada to have a zero inflation target. Zero inflation target, and like that you will keep your purchasing power. That's the only thing to do to have a freer and a more prosperous society. But also, we must balance the budget. And we know that we can do it if we have the courage of our conviction. We can do it, like I said, saving $1.2 billion by cutting CBC and Radio-Canada. And also, no more foreign aid. We can save $5 billion there and bring back that money here in Canada to help Canadians. We are saying no to the UN, the dysfunctional organization. And we will say goodbye to Theresa Tam. I believe that we don't need her anymore. There's no emergency crisis all across this country. So we're gonna tell her, thank you, but we don't need you. We will fire her. And we are saying no to the 2030 UN agenda. We have our own agenda. And our own agenda is to fight for the sovereignty of our country, to say no to the UN Global Compact on migration, to say no to mass immigration and yes to sustainable immigration, to say no to the Paris Accord and a carbon tax. But on all these issues, O'Toole, Trudeau think they're all the same. They will impose a carbon tax. They're okay with mass immigration. They will impose a vaccine passport. They won't balance the budget in 4 years. And actually, they won't balance the budget because they believe that the budget balanced itself. And so we know that these options suck, and we need to fight for a real new option. That's the BBC. So, if they're telling you that, oh, if you vote for the PPC, it will be a vote for the Liberals, the Conservatives are saying that because they're afraid. They don't have any argument. You know, we are not splitting the vote. O'Toole is doing that. O'Toole is splitting the leftist vote, the liberal votes. He's not a conservative anymore. He's only conservative in name. And so what we are doing and what we are asking Canadians, don't vote against something. Vote for something. Vote for your values. Vote for yourself. Vote for yourself. Vote for what you believe. Because we at the BBC, we believe in you. We believe that you have the ability, the dignity, and the right to make your own decisions and determine your own destiny without having a federal government that will tell you what to do with your life. Yes. Freedom. Freedom, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, because I want you to be free to choose what you want to do with your body. You know, the feminists were telling us a couple of years ago, my body, my choice. And yes, our body, our choice. That's the most important. But we need to have the right information, informed consent. And everybody must be able to decide what they want to do with that vaccine. And I can tell you that we will respect their choice. But we will always there to fight for you without any discrimination, without any segregation, respecting our rights and our freedoms. And our goal is not to do like O'Toole and Trudeau, to divide us. Our goal is to unite Canadians under the freedom umbrella. And yes, speaking about our children, parents must be able to decide if their children will wear a mask or not. That must be a parental decision. Same thing for the vaccine. Parents must be able to decide if their kids will have the vaccine or not. That's not the government business. And that common sense will be everywhere the 20th of September. I know that we will win some seats, and I know that that battle for our freedom, for our Western civilization values, will start that 28th of September. But that won't be the end. That will be the beginning, because you can count on me. Yes, I'll be in Parliament with our candidates, but also, the most important, I will always be with you in the street to protest if we have more vaccine passport across this country. We will always do that together. Because, like John F. Kennedy once said, and when he said that quote is very actual for today, and we are in the same situation in Canada today. And yes, like John F. Kennedy said in 1961, in the long history of the world, only few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its maximum hour of danger. You are that generation. This is your role, and now is the time. We will fight for freedom all the time. until we win that battle. Freedom! 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 We will stay. We will stay.
This is so wonderful to see people coming out, enjoying freedom. And it's good for us.